Youth Services Agency Commissioner Ted Gross responded to questions put to him by an interviewer. Do you think that the groups of youth are different than the bopping gangs of the 40s and 50s? And
Certainly.
How are they?
Certainly. One, I think that they're a blend of several stages in our development of protest. I think in the ghetto community, the bopping gang was a method of protest at one particular time by young people. That was in the 40s and 50s. And we get to the 60s where we have the student activists era, and that becomes the ideal thing. And they are talking about social issues. Well, if you know the gangs of the 40s and 50s were not concerned about social issues. They were concerned about whether or not who insulted whose girl, who's knocked off whose hat, or who came in whose area. Now the youngsters are raising social problems also. Aside from having a tendency to bop, they're raising very real social problems and social concerns that they are aware of and they want the system to do something about. And so I think the groups today are a blend of the fighting gangs of the 40s and 50s and the student protest movement of the 60s. They have maybe we should say, a healthy blend.
Would you say that there's a power vacuum in the Bronx?
A power vacuum?
Mm-hmm.
If you're talking about a vacuum being created by the fact that enough young people are not involved in the decision-making and the power structure of the Bronx, yes. Not only in the Bronx, that would hold true for the whole city.
You attended the truce meeting at the Boys Club last week, several evenings ago. What did you think of it?
First of all, I thought it was frightening. I think it was frightening as hell, to be quite honest about it. I think that, one, that I hope that truce can be attained from this meeting and from the subsequent meetings they have. There's a lot of dangers, as you were there and you saw, by having this many groups together. One, no one can predict what would happen at a meeting there. We had over 200 youngsters, about 20 groups represented, and with obviously some antagonism between groups. And all that had to do was get out of hand. And we would have had mass havoc.
What prevented it from getting out of hand?
I would say my workers. I would say my workers.
What role do you think Charlie Melendez, Benji Melendez, Marvin played?
I think he played also a role of keeping it from getting out of hand. His speech concerning the reason for them being there helped. I guess the most frightening aspect of the whole meeting was the turbans. And it's frightening because these are not kids.
My president right there, he's a veteran from the Army.
I did 14 months in Vietnam.
Veteran from the Army.
Got shot.
You know what I mean?
For nothing. Come out here and...
I'm going to tell you something. We're not kids, man. You know? We're not kids. This mostly goes for them, not you other people. Everybody's all right with us. You people. You don't have no chance against us anyway. You know? You got the odds, you know? Plus, you don't know how to use this, man. You don't know how to use this. You're 16 years old. You think you're back in, gambling days back then, gambling busting days? All that shit is over, man. What you're supposed to do now is get some organization, man. You dig some togetherness, you know, some party, you know? You know what I mean? Get your sisters together, man, you know? You know how nice it looks walking down the street with a bra hand in hand? You dig it? Dress it, find it like a motherfucker, you dig it? All right, you're nice and high, you know how to smoke, you dig, drink it. That's another thing. We'll drug out of some turbans, baby. I'm proud to say that. You know? Yes, you have, baby. You know? And you yourself, you're full of shit, you know what I mean? What you think, you gonna take over the Bronx? Not even no servants can take over Bronx, brother. Get that in your motherfucking head, man. You know?
Some of the groups are potentially dangerous. I think the most positive thing about them is that they are drug-free. And I'm willing to look at all the other negative things lightly, the fact that they are drug-free. And I think that we really have to work with them and try to keep them drug-free, get them, their energies channeled into a positive way. That's quote-unquote a positive way, whatever the system or the community decides is a positive way for young people, which is not always the best for young people.
Even though we had colors, we were a gang, we never looked for trouble, man. I could understand if they beat up Benji, but killing him is another thing. You took away one of our brother's lives, man. And we were right down at the funeral looking at him, saying, I wish the immortals, if they were them, to see what it is to take away one of our brother's lives. You don't want us to become a gang again, right? Because I know you, right? Don't I know you? You was up in the meeting and you told me, Benji, I want to get out alive. Didn't you tell me that? Benji, I want to get out alive. That's just what's going to happen. You're going to get out alive. Benji didn't get out alive. Benji died. They took away my brother's life, man. The thing is, we're not a gang anymore. We're an organization. We want to help black and Puerto Ricans to live in a better environment. You see, I said down with colors now. Now let's turn something, man. Let's turn something. Let's help our people, man. But they're taking away my brother's lives, taking advantage now that we're an organization. Because I heard that Immortal's been going around Saturday morning saying, look at Ghetto Brothers, let's get them. You guys are giant people, man. You really are. You're not no Hell's Angel, man. You're black and Puerto Rican. You're black and Puerto Rican, brothers. You get that to your head, man.
That's all you want to know.
I want to show you where there's a lie around here. Because you see this?
With us tonight in the 51st State Studios are several invited guests. Ted Gross, Commissioner of the Youth Services Agency, Mario Barbell, Director of the Bronx Boys Club, Evelina Antonetti and Lorraine Kane from the United Bronx Parents Community Organization, and several presidents and vice presidents and guests from youth groups located in the South Bronx. Well, the South Bronx people, the youth in the South Bronx, are serviced by the Youth Services Agency. How many street workers are involved in any kind of servicing, Commissioner Gross?
Well, in the South Bronx area or in the city as a whole?
Well, the South Bronx area.
South Bronx area about 50, about between 45 and 50. I don't know the exact number.
Well, how is it? What's the basic means of service that?
Well, some of the large percentage of them are assigned to work with some of the groups, but we have more groups than we have workers. What we've done, we've hired some of the young people who are part of organizations in the South Bronx to assist my workers in working with them. One of the things that I think that is important for the viewers to understand is that the Youth Service Agency does not view the groups in the South Bronx as gangs. I think that Benji Melendez stated very clear that they're about positive things, and I think that we have a responsibility to help them do the positive things, and this is what the agency is attempting to do now.
We've been talking about the schools and the energy that these young people have. Commissioner Gross, could you offer some suggestions as to how that energy could be used?
First of all, I think that you talk about young people, and I heard one of the workers, youngsters introduce themselves as 20 years old, and it gets to be a little beyond a young person's age. My meaning is that correcting the schools does not solve the problem for basically most of the youngsters that we have here. I think that what we have here is the failure of our system, basically the failure of many of the job training programs we have, the failure of the economy that we have. There are no jobs. Most of the youngsters would like to get a job if they possibly can. Most of them would like to do something to better their living conditions, work on the housing that they... These things are not available. I think one of the things that the system has to do is beginning to address themselves to those types of needs, the needs that they have, that if we're going to have job training programs, that we have a job training program where there's a guaranteed job at the end of it, that you're not just training someone to have a trained young person standing on a corner. And I think that's one of the basic problems, that many of the programs we've instituted were also geared at another youngster. It was not geared at the youngsters that we have here. And I think we have to begin to address ourselves and to the youngsters that we have today and stop dealing with the youngsters of 1950.
Commissioner Gross, what's your best estimate for what's your prognosis for the youth of the South Bronx?
First of all, Tony, let me say something. I think that before we forget what the young people are saying, they have an organization because there's a need. They have a need that we adults, whether we are parents or just happen to live in the community, are not fulfilling to them. We haven't fulfilled to them. Right on. They have a need to form this organization trying to do the things that we have failed to do. I think that we have that other obligation, that once we see them moving in a positive vein, to do everything we possibly can to help them to move in a very positive vein. Is that I think the prognosis is good.
But what do you mean by a positive vein, Mr. Gross? Fitting into your patterns? Fitting into the patterns of the establishment?
Not my pattern, but fitting within the boundaries of the establishment. Let's face it now that the establishment sets up boundaries.